they're doing with,
They're just
you
going with that.
know, yeah. So with the second edition of Lini
Hmm.
and with the, um, and then with the,
Waterloo.
yeah, second edition of Mont Saint Jean. That's there. Everything now is that Clash of Arms is putting out is using the fifth edition rules,
Mm-hmm.
and the
I'm going to put out my own rules. They're going to be called "Always My Advantage" rules.
there you go, there you go.
Yeah, that's the new one.
Yeah, it's and instead of saying the French player does this, you say whoever
Fill in the
Robert is
blank.
playing. Yes, exactly.
There you go. There you
And
go.
just kind of okay, this works.
Did you guys ever read the Calvin and Hobbes cartoons?
Oh, absolutely, love
Yeah.
those when I was a kid. Yeah,
Calvin and Hobbes play a game called Calvin Ball, where you invent the rules with each move.
there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, that's I've we've played some war games like that.
Yeah,
I
you
think
want to
early on we
you
did
want to
that.
spice up your channel, Eric. There you go.
Is that it? Is that it? Just like okay, here we go. Well, I get enough questions from people about different rule sets and all the rest of the jazz, so it does take a little
Mhm.
time to figure out. So, but it's
It
okay. It's fun.
it does seem like that people, yeah, get attached to certain rule sets, and then it would be interesting to take a poll of all the players and see which rule sets the most popular percentage wise.
I can actually do that on my YouTube channel. So I can maybe I'll create a poll and find out what people are playing,
Hmm.
and see which ones get.
Never know. Everybody might love Marie Louise. You never know.
Well, and it's not bad. We've played Marie Louise a few times,
Yeah, I
and
like that one.
unless you're trying to move your division in or out of Eylau, in which case then
It's
it's
hopeless.
oh my god, that was hilarious. So
That
it doesn't
was
matter
that was.
which chit you put on it, it always came up the wrong way. So I was actually talking with actually David Mignoret plays Marie Louise a lot, and so
Mhm.
he'd said something like, "You just go ahead and move stuff around. At that point, you just kind of you're not going to be such a stickler to it. It's one thing if it's something out on the flank that's moving or whatnot. It's another thing if you're like trying to pass reinforcements forward or backwards or whatnot. So he was just like, "Yeah, you just should have done it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, whatever." So I like most everybody, people just kind of house rule stuff too. So it's not too ridiculous. But I mean, that's the one thing with fifth edition rules. Once your chit comes up, you can move your stuff in any particular order you want, but you can't like move half of a maneuver unit, moved and hop over to another maneuver unit, and then go back to the other maneuver unit that you had. So you still have to kind of plan things out, so that stuff doesn't block, you know, reinforcements that are coming up or whatever else you might have going on.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I mean, that's what I mean. Of all of the ones that are out there, I think fifth edition does a really good job with command control, and it's not the melee combat and all that stuff is much more manageable. So that's my preference. So all right, I have not heard from Keith, and I don't know that he's signed in yet here with us. Nope, it's just the four of us so far. So I'm not
How about
sure.
how about everybody else's preferences for rules?
Data analysis
Eh,
shows too many variables.
All right.
uh,
Let's see what he says. He did not realize it was Monday. Start without me. I should be on by 7:30. Okay, no worries. All right. So we'll see. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Brennan, what's your preferred rule system?
To be honest, I like the third edition because by and large, once you learn how to play with the command rules, if you're just keeping everybody in command anyway, as much as you can, the command rules become irrelevant,
Mm-hmm.
almost irrelevant. And then, so why bother?
Right.
And then third edition is more sophisticated than Premiere. Premiere is cool, but it's simplified and everything is it's like a blunt instrument.
Right. Yeah.
Notably in Premiere, the artillery doesn't ricochet, and the ricochet adds a whole lot of interest to the game beyond what normal war games do. Like in a lot of games, you can shoot at range from hex to hex, but when the artillery can penetrate for 3 or 5 hexes, it changes the picture. And then in Premiere, also cavalry is pretty heavily nerfed compared to what it can do in the third edition. Specifically, it takes cavalry a lot longer to recover from exhaustion here. Like if you make a reaction charge in Premiere, you get exhausted, but if you make a reaction charge in third, you're only tired, so you can do it twice.
Right.
Is one example, and then the fact that you have to line up in order to have any morale effect or any real effect. The cavalry charges have to have that full 3 hex gallop. That's kind of it turns it into a heavy blunt battering ram instead of a scalpel that you can do all kinds of fun things.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that the charge rules and stuff like that are for 5th edition and 3rd edition do give you a lot more flexibility with the cavalry. Although sometimes it does get a little crazy where one cavalry unit can, just single-handedly, clear a whole bunch of stuff off the map, which is...
Yeah, remember those Lancers? And
Oh, yeah. Those Polish Lancers at Moscow. I think I ended up routing 5 or 6 Grenadier battalions all in one fell swoop. So it was hilarious. When he wanted to roll for square, he rolled a 66. When he wanted to roll to stand, he rolled an 11. I mean, he could not, and he kept oscillating back and forth between the two. It's like, well, I'll try to form a square. Oh, you rolled a 66. They routed. Okay, I roll for recovery. I'm picking the next guy down the line. And so that sort of sunken stream that's running there by that little village that got demolished.
Semyonovskaya.
Yep. You can pronounce it. None of us could. I just rolled right down the line there. You had a whole bunch of guys down in there and just turned their flank. And that was who was that? It was Paul, I think, had those guys. Those were his units. Yeah.
Well, Brendan's actually been there, so he.
Yeah. So that was
birthday party at the Borodino battlefield. So I've definitely been there. Yeah. And then I've been back many times since.
Yeah. No, that's. I think Robert and I only visited Waterloo when we were there back in the '80s, on our little post college trip kind of a thing. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, we didn't get to any others.
Well, a lot of them were in the East Bloc, right? So Austerlitz you couldn't get to because it was in Czechoslovakia or something like that at the time, and
we got to East Berlin. We could have just unannounced just left there and
gone to Friedland.
There you go.
Gone to Eylau, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, from south of Berlin, you've got Grossbeeren, you've got Dennewitz, you've got a couple of them, but who knows what sort of shape they would have been in. I think nowadays with tourism, a lot of the different, municipalities or whatever else are trying to cater to it a little bit more. I think Dennis had said that there where Heilsberg is, the city has put together a museum and all kinds of stuff for people who want to come and check out the battlefield, which I thought was interesting. But that's just something that's happened recently from what he was saying. So fully to them.
I was in Warsaw last fall, and I almost got a chance to drive up there. It's about 3 or 4 hours north of Warsaw, but I didn't quite make it. Maybe we should all get together and go visit Austerlitz or Wagram or something and take a walk together. That'd be fun.
I think that would be very cool. Yeah.
Wagram would be fun.
Well, but at least from what I think Jim was telling me, or somebody said, that Wagram is now where the Vienna airport is.
no.
Yeah,
Oh, geez.
so you can visit it as you fly in, kind of a thing. Um,
I know there's a lot of tourists around the Spanish campaigns,
yeah,
and like along in Portugal to see the what was it called, that line that the British built? The
Torres something or other.
Torres Vedras,
Yeah,
the line
yeah,
to Torres. Yeah.
yeah.
exactly. That's a really big tourist draw,
Well, and Spain's a nice country to visit, so you might
and
as
it
well.
wasn't blown up by World War II, so.
Yeah, it probably was not damaged in the Civil War either. Well, and Portugal was neutral, and so, but I know that Badajoz, Spain. They still have the fortress there, the old fortifications and whatnot. Um, so I know that they have a game conference in Badajoz every January. It's called
Oh, really?
yeah,
Okay.
Baloticon. And I'd like to try to go sometime. So I will have to see if I can finagle a trip to Spain to go do that. So all right. Well, we've got a couple. We've got our friend William from Kitchener,
Sure.
Ontario, as usual, joining us. We've got Perry uh, Spirouopoulos. No, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong. Oh well, good evening, Perry. Glad that you could join us. It looks like our numbers are going up. Ardwolf's, um, live stream must be ending. So usually his goes until 7 o'clock or so, and then we have ours. So the people that are diehard fans like William can watch Ardwolf, and then they can jump over here and watch us. So Jose, who is AKA Stuka Joe. We were supposed to do a live stream last week. We had a technical glitch, so we're actually going to be doing our live stream on Saturday. So if you ever watch Stuka Joe's channel, he covers a whole wealth of wargaming topics. We're going to have a chat, and he's kind of the grandfather of a lot of the wargame channels on YouTube. He's been around for a long time and probably has one of the best channels around. Hey, Jeff Taylor is signing in. We know Jeff. We sat opposite each other at the Buckeye. So
Hello, Jeff.
yeah, indeed. And
He was my partner, right?
he was your partner in crime there. So, and let's see, William is saying, my wife says that I can go to the convention if I take her to the one in Spain. Okay, that's good. Let me know when you're going, William, and I will try to,
Any convention in Europe is good.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. Well, and I think there's like a big convention in Germany and stuff like that. But the one that's in Spain has a good number of folks that come to it.
But Tempe just doesn't rank with Spain.
It could be as hot as Spain at times, and dry. And there's lots of people there that speak Spanish.
That's true.
But I'm sure it's not quite Spain. The paella is probably not as good in Tempe as it is in other parts of Spain there.
But we found, when we were out there, we found some good restaurants. They had.
Oh, in Tempe, yeah, they do have some good restaurants. Although a lot of the restaurants, a fair number of them closed because of the pandemic.
Because of COVID.
Well, yeah, COVID, and then the university was closed for a while with COVID. Everyone was doing stuff remotely, and so it was. So when I was out there last year, there were a number of the ones that we really liked that were out of business. But it is what it is.
I still am upset because they changed the calendar on that, so I can't attend it.
Yeah, I would like to get back to when they had it there in late June, early July. That was a good time for me too. Now with it being as late as it is, it's right in the middle of the high school fencing season, and I'm coaching now, so that does make it problematic. I'm just trying to get away for about 4 days, and at least get a little bit of gaming in. And depending on your schedule, Robert, if you got the weekend off, we could go out there. Maybe you can get away for 3 or 4 days, and we could play something. So
That's true. I finished teaching on Thursdays, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
and then are you back on Monday or
Yeah, I teach Monday
ah
through Thursday, unfortunately.
ah calling sick?
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, Keith should be joining us shortly, but in the meantime, Robert, at least you and I can chat a little bit about what's going on our side of the battlefield, and then with Keith shows up, we can chat about what's going on his side, and that way, then we can move things along at a decent pace. Does that sound all right with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Good.
Cool.
David, should we jump to coalition and we can chat at our end?
Sure.
All right. Do, 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 do. All right, Robert. So let's take a look and see what's going on.
So I pretty much, I was looking at everything. I pretty much know I just will head those units toward Pratzen and move that one out of Kobelnitz. It's not really, there's nothing to threaten it really. And then everything else, I'll just stage everything around Pratza, a little bit of cavalry down in the south because he's got some light cavalry there just screening his.
Yeah, he's just, I mean, and
artillery.
they're just, I think they're just moving and then he's moving the screen with them. So I don't know that you have to worry about that so much. But yes, you definitely want to have stuff. He's got a lot of cavalry there, further to the, I guess it would be north over to the right side of the screen.
Yes.
So you're going to need to make sure that you don't have your stuff all showing up higgledy-piggledy. Try to keep it together and, in some coordinated fashion.
Yes,
and then,
I'll occupy Pratza and then kind of screen out toward that one clump of woods there with some cavalry.
yeah,
To the north, it would be north.
Yep. Kind of
Yes.
link up with my guys. So we'll just kind of see where we're at. I don't think they can get to any of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, they can't get to any of these other towns before time runs out. So in that particular regard, we're okay. And then what we want to start doing is getting our artillery set up and starting to plink away at his cavalry. We want to try to see if we can't, cut them down to size, push them back a little bit, and just kind of wear them down before we get ready to move on, whatever. So we have to kind of figure out where the heck we want to go too.
Okay, I don't have a lot of cavalry, but once I get centered at Pratza, then I can kind of decide, because that will at least get them thinking about their left flank.
Right. Yeah. And so they'll have to do something to, keep their guys in think about that. But I just have to kind of get a sense of how engaged to get. So we don't need to start coming to blows with them, locking horns with them with our infantry anytime soon. What we need to do is start kind of getting stuff ready so we can start taking.
What are you going to do about that stuff around Blasowitz, the stuff that's kind of north? He's clicking on right now.
Yeah, it's just going to take a little bit of time to see what he does. They might pull back and have Blasowitz kind of block line of sight. So he's been withdrawing units back away from that forest where he was,
Right.
and so I think they're going to probably try to set up a bunch of artillery back there, and then have Blasowitz kind of the equivalent of the Austerlitz version of Hougoumont, right, where it's kind of out in
Right.
front, and we got to kind of deal with it, and in the process, then we have to suffer whatever
Casualties. Okay.
casualties, either taking it or maneuvering around it or whatever else. So we'll just kind of have to see how that goes and how things develop.
You gonna put some artillery in that area where the stream's running? It's clear there, right to Blasowitz, or
I have to see. I've got a little bit. We've got some core artillery for Marshal So. It's up. It's kind of a little bit further to the left, kind of opposite where his big heavy cavalry is.
I see it.
So
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'll park that over there and start plinking away at him, and then kind of see what to do with the other toys I have in the area.
Okay.
Yeah,
And the Austrians are engaged already, so Keith's already busy. From last turn, it looks like.
right. Yeah, and so the question is, what's he need to do then to get in a better position for fighting? So I don't think we're really. This necessarily wasn't what or how we wanted to start things. It was a case where this was a reaction to his charge, where we put things and how we put things. And so now it's a case of, okay, how can we get things organized in a better fashion, so that way then we can, maneuver around in a more sensible way, as opposed to, here we're just dealing with like reacting to getting to that charge. Now what can we do to get stuff in a better spot for combat and whatnot? So that's what we'll try to do. We have to he's got a bunch of artillery that hasn't been deployed yet. He's got some more heavies that haven't done anything yet.
I mean, he's got a bunch of Austrians, so he's got artillery already.
Yeah,
those
Russians
batteries are nasty batteries.
Yeah, the Russian ones are very, very strong. So that's part of the challenge, dealing with those. So we shall just have to see how it all works itself out. But right now we're not in a big hurry to
And
launch
we
an
have
attack.
all our reinforcements in now.
Yep,
right?
everything is on the map.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So
This is a challenge. I can see why. Historically, I could see how the French could win if they pile everything over to the French right.
Yeah, well, and so what happened was historically the Austrians and Russians really stretched themselves thin. And then each of their different divisions or columns was defeated in detail. And then they were, when they moved off of the Pratzen Heights, then that left them, that left the center like paper thin. So then when Soule came pushing right up with two divisions, there wasn't anything to stop him. And then he was able to like turn to the south and wipe out everybody who was over on that side, and basically wipe out that, I guess, third or half of the Allied army. So the Austrians and Russians did too much back then. They tried to defend in too many places all at once, and so that was their challenge.
They're not making that mistake this time.
No. And so that was their intention, was to try to concentrate. So instead of being spread out, everyone there, now they're all kind of concentrated in one spot.
Okay.
And so as a result, then they have better options for defending themselves and mutual support and things like that. So instead of being spread out, so now our objective is to try to figure out how to, kind of where we want to go with it, and how we want to handle kind of peeling back the defense.
What did you figure out what our point advantage will be after 11 o'clock, having secured all these places?
So we don't get any points for securing those. We just prevent them from getting points. So
Okay.
for us, we get points if at the end of the game we hold different villages and places like that on the map. So the different objective villages that we have aren't really, critical until later in the in the game. So until that time, um, there's no real point in us fighting for those or taking those or whatnot. So part of what we would want to do is kind of see where we want to try to hit them, from which side, and kind of get a sense of how to kind of crack through their defenses. So
Okay.
yeah, we'll figure it out.
Keith will solve all the problems.
Yeah, Keith will get it all solved.
Sorry I'm late, guys.
Oh, that's all right. Better late than never.
It's like, oh yeah, it's Monday night. Oh.
Yeah, well, with the holiday, I'm sure you were thinking it was Sunday or Tuesday or any other day.
I didn't know what day of the week it was. It was a long holiday weekend somewhere.
Well,
So-
and you're retired, so it's not like you got to get up and go to work anyway. So that kind of works out for you. So, well, good. Well, we were just catching up. I was telling Robert kind of what he needs to kind of do on his side of things. It generally looks like they are kind of starting to coalesce into sort of a defensive hedgehog type of situation. And so what we want to do is we don't want to just run headlong into that. What we want to try to do is make attacks that are on our terms.
Right.
So for kind of looking at where you're at, I wouldn't want you to just go throwing everybody into this thing higgly-piggly. Instead, what you should probably do is, pull everyone back a hex or two, get your guns unlimbered, and start targeting his frontline units with your artillery. Get your cavalry in a position where they can support your infantry, they can support your artillery, and then we can just kind of work on plinking away at him, and if he and try to use. We've got, our skirmishers are really good against his line units. Our skirmishers are really good in the woods, so we want to try to use the stuff we have to our advantage. So like looking at your front lines where you're there, you've got your guy in square, you've got that 5-7, you've got the 6-7. Instead of us attacking all of that, we're out of position because we move forward, basically supporting that cavalry charge.
Right.
And
Now we need to.
but now we're not really in a position to necessarily fight. So the thing to do is, like with your unit that's in square, it can move one hex. So if I were you, you'd move one of these exhausted cavalry unit back, say 3 or 4 hexes. So
Well, I figured I wanted to move both of them back, get them out of.
well, if you you can move them both back, but then they'll be tired at the end of this turn. As long as you move them half or less of their movement, right? And then you can get your skirmishers kind of across. You can get put a skirmisher in where that square is right now. So move the square back 1 hex, for example. The skirmisher that's in the woods can move through the square into the spot covering like those 2 hexes and the squares behind him. And then you can bring up your guns. The other little 6-7 that's over on that side next to his 6-6, you can pull it back a little bit. That 6-10, we can pull it back a little bit.
Right.
Get your guns down in a position, so move them forward maybe 1 hex and unlimber them kind of where that 410 unit is. And then you can blast his stuff that's in front. And you can also then take shots at his cuirassiers that are further back. You want to get Marshal Lawns overstacked with the artillery, because then he's got a artillery bonus. So you can have
Which
He can coordinate 2 stacks of artillery. And so therefore then you can concentrate your fire on one target, or you can split things up depending on what you want to do. So that would be my suggestion for you. Just kind of pull the line back, get your skirmisher in there in between your square and his infantry, kind of get the cavalry back a little bit, have the cavalry there so they can screen your guns, and then start using your guns for shooting at his infantry, and then, shooting at his cavalry. I'm going to bring, I think I'm going to bring Napoleon and his horse guns over to your side of the map, so they can start, using their effects over there on your side of the map. Give you a little support in that regard. And so that's kind of what the general plan is for you. So this turn, just kind of.
And what about my skirmishers on the
over further to the left?
To the left as we're looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, you can shift them over to, shift them over to the right, so they can engage like that 6/6 who's next to the woods.
Come next to the woods. So
yeah, so you move him over a couple of hexes.
So as I'm continuing to roll to the right there, you'll be covering that flank.
And then Bernado's coming in over there. So yeah, just kind of shift that stuff over, but don't start pushing people into the woods. Just the skirmishers for the moment, and keep the other infantry back so it can react and cover your guns and everything.
Now, what
else.
about my 8/7s? I've got way out on my.
I would, if I were you, I would just pull them back into the woods. So they're a potential threat. They can come out and flank, but I wouldn't necessarily have them come out and do anything at the moment. And then the other thing is that at this point, the battalions that you have back in those villages, garrisoning those villages, this is the last turn that he can do anything, and he can't get anybody there before the turn is over. Yeah, so they can start coming forward at this point. So I would just say kind of disengage a little bit, get your guns set up so they can do some firing. You'll take he'll take a shot at you as you pull back, but their combined fire is not very good. So
you want me to bring? It makes sense to bring that one skirmisher over to where the square is now. You're saying?
Yeah, the one that's there next to the 5/7.
And engage us.
Yeah, so you want to interpose those skirmishers between his infantry and your square.
Right.
So that way your square. Otherwise, they'll just move forward and they'll shoot at your square again.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I should. And then so both skirmishers should edge over that way then.
Yeah, you can do that, but the one that is the one that's the rightmost, you can then go ahead and put him in that area. And when you move your square back, you'll still stay in square. It takes, your square's only got one movement point. So you either come out of square and then move, or you can move him back in square. They'll get a shot at you as you pull back, and then you move the skirmishers in to interpose themselves between the square and his 2 infantry units, right? And then they don't get as good a shot on the skirmisher. And if you're charged by cavalry or whatever else, well, then your skirmisher can go hide in the square. And then, if they do that, they're opening themselves up to all kinds of chaos or another painful loss of cavalry with the guys that we have in the backfield that can then charge them. So that's
and lawn I should get with my artillery.
Right. Yeah, you've got lawn stacked with a cavalry unit.
0-12. Yeah.
So I don't know why he's over there. And then that cavalry unit shouldn't be facing the woods because it remember, if it's going to charge, it's got to go through its front facing hex. Right. And you can't charge into a wood. So you'd want to turn him. Right. Yeah. So part of what you got to just, I know you're brand new to the game. So part of it is just kind of learning, okay, I'm going to be facing this way, that way. I got to think about where things are. So how things react and all that jazz. So you're doing a fine job so far. So just slowly get it set, but Don't. I would just say kind of pull back so that way you can get in a better position. So the units that pull back, like if you're pulling your line infantry back, that's 6-7, that 5-7, pull them back, put them in line, and that way then if they're being shot at by his artillery, they got a better fire defense. If he moves his infantry up to engage you, you've got a better fire than you do in column.
Now, the question, as we're looking to the left, I've got that skirmisher in the woods, and I want to shift him over to the right and engage that 6-6 just on the edge of the woods.
Yeah.
In terms of how I face him,
you just keep him faced. You can keep him faced the way he is right now, or you can pivot.
Down.
Yeah, you can pivot down so you can get two hex sides
but
against
defensively, I wonder how is that. I'm trying to figure out.
No, it's going to be fine, and then you get the other skirmisher over.
Because they're in general order in the.
Yeah, I mean the skirmishers are still in skirmish, so they're not in general order.
Okay.
So they can still retreat before combat. They can still they have their full fire value in skirmish order in the woods. So as opposed to another unit. So get the other skirmisher over, so he's in the neighborhood to support the other fella, and that way if he tries to move forward, he tries to do something, then you're in a position where you could, stop him in some way, shape, or form, or support him at least. Okay, does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay,
Yep.
Well, cool. David Mignoret is out of town this week and next week, so you'll just be playing with basically opposite Brennan. And so then when it comes time for him to do his movement, we'll probably have to give him a little extra time to move David's stuff and his stuff. So we'll talk about that at the end of the French turn. And then maybe I can, watch what's going on your side of the field or something else, depending on how it goes, to kind of help out, watching the movement and all that jazz. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Good. Hey, Eric.
Yes.
I know Augzed is worth points at the end. Do I need to leave some infantry there or no?
You could send maybe a small dragoon and a small battalion down there.
They're already heading down there, so I don't know.
I those big 8-7s are some of the best infantry you have, right?
That's
so
true.
Putting them on garrison duty in Augzed is a waste. But like that 6-7 unit that Davout is stacked with, that's actually a regiment. If you break it down, there's probably 2 3-7 battalions, and so you could move 1 or 2 down there. I would say maybe move both of them down there, and then have a dragoon regiment down there, and between those 3 you can garrison Augzed. It's going to take him forever and a day to move anything back over there to attack you, if he even thinks to do it. I have no idea if Oysterach or whatever is a garrison for us as well. But if it is,
so I can break down the 6-7, the 111th.
Yeah, because it's a regiment, so it breaks down into 2 battalions. So it's not a battalion. If you look at it, it's got 3 pips on it. It's a regiment.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. So it breaks down. So, I mean, Davout force marched his guys. He force marched Friant's division. And so by the time that showed up, look at the other guys that are part of it too.
Oh, I know.
Right?
They're
all, so all of those 6-7s those are regiments, right? So if you're going to put them in the woods or you're going to put them in the town, that you got to break them down into their battalions. And so that's why those 8-7 battalions are the best ones you've got over on that side of the map, other than the ones that are coming down from Koblenitz.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe you send some of those guys, some of the, Davout's force that's not going to do anything terribly exciting. Send them down there towards Augsed, and that way then at least they can capture the town, hold the town comfortably, and rest from having made that forced march. So
Okay, I got to find them on the
yeah, so
chart.
up on the chart, let's see. So the third corps is
Oh, I
in the
see the
center.
111th.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I see it right there. 237s.
yeah. And those and
Oh,
you've got uh yeah, you got a good little that 8-8 Leger unit can break down into 2-4-8. So that's probably a good thing to do when you're ready for that too. But yeah, the little 6-7 one those are going to break down into something smaller. So okay, any other questions?
okay. I'll send them down there then and occupy that and leave maybe one of the dragoon units there.
Yeah, and that way between the dragoon and the infantry, you know, they can do something. And as I said, it's going to if they want to march something back, you'll see it coming a mile away. Because look at where they're at now. They've already marched,
Right.
20
I can
hexes away.
I can shift some stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could send stuff over there if you need to, or see what he's sending and then respond accordingly. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys,
Okay.
Eric,
you've all got your
I got a-
plans. Oh, you got another question for me?
Another question on the artillery. What's the stacking for artillery?
So you can stack up to 6 increments. And so for the French, that means you could have 3 2-6 batteries
Okay,
stacked in
because
one
that's
hex.
what I have there, and that's what I wanted to make sure I could do.
Yeah. So, or what you could do is you could put 2 of them in a hex, and then in an adjacent hex, you could have, you could put all 3 in one hex if you wanted to. But you want to make sure that you've got cavalry around it. So if he tries to charge you or anything like that, you can intercept it, stop him cold.
Right. Well, I figured if I put him where the that
You can
410
just
is in front of him.
you can just put them. Yeah, you can put them there, or you can put them right where they are right now, and just move your stuff back away. And that way, then you've got a clear line of sight on that 6-6, and then you can always prolong forward, and you can start shooting at other things as they present themselves. But you definitely want to make sure that you've got cavalry out there in front that can intercept it. And you kind of see how Brennan has set up his stuff. He's got these lanes of fire.
Yeah.
So
right, and
he
that's what I'm
doesn't-
trying to do with
Yeah.
that artillery piece. So
Yeah.
I figured if I brought him down one hex down where that 410 with the leader is,
Yeah.
and I pull back that 6-7, he's got a line of fire to that 6-6 from 3 hexes.
Yes, but you want to try to, yeah, so you want to make sure that you're covered. So when you're thinking about it, when you're setting up your shot, you can have the cavalry positioned, say, out in a hex in front, right? So if they're charged or a charge is trying to get to you, it's got to stop when it hits its ZOC, right? Zone of influence. So
Which they
right. So
right.
yeah, and then because you're only firing the artillery during the offensive fire phase, if he moves his troops around, well, you can move your troops around and open up a new lane on the target you want to shoot at next. So you don't have to think about, I'm setting them up and they're going to be here, and I have to have everything set so I can perfectly hit everything all the
I
time.
can always move,
You can
move
always
units and I can
shift get stuff
prolong
around.
and-
Exactly. So you want to try to get things set in a position where the cavalry is on your flanks. It's going to stop anything that's like can charge in and hit.
Well,
the
and there is a
guns.
cavalry unit right next to. There's that other 410 just to the left. If I brought that artillery forward,
Yeah. So you have a general idea
There's
what to
another-
do. So I would say
right?
make sure you kind of get everybody set so you don't end up getting, beaten up. But like that 610 unit that's out there between the 2 infantry, you can
Yeah.
bring that one back, for example. And
Right.
and just remember that you need to have a you need to have a line of sight. So what you might do is you can move your artillery, say, right here. And you can then move the 610 unit 1 hex back,
Right.
and then you can fire right down. And then the 6-6 unit, it can move off to one side or the other, and you've basically got 2 heavies on either side of that artillery, right? And there's a hex kind of gap between it. So he can't charge through that hex gap without being stopped by zones of influence. So that's what I'm saying is and you can then reaction charge and all kinds of other options. So try to set things up, but think about, you're bowling and you can move from lane to lane during the turn as you're doing your movement phase.
So I need to make sure I have lines of sight and influence with my.
Right. So what you'd say is, okay, which target do you want to hit? Right.
Well, I assume we're going out. Makes sense to go after that 6-6, right?
Yeah,
there.
you can do that first, and then once it's blown away, well, you can shoot at the cavalry unit that's behind it, or you could then turn and shoot down towards the 6-6s that are there by your square. You can kind of pivot.
You wouldn't bring them 2 hexes forward.
No, not at all. So you would. So where they are right now is fine. You could unlimber there, and or you could move them, a hex or 2 to the right, and then unlimber them. Because remember, you want to be at like a 5 hex range. That's a good sort of sweet spot for the artillery. So kind of get to so as long as they're 5 hexes or less, then they're in a good spot, and then you can figure out how you want to pivot. But remember, during the movement phase, it's like, okay, I blew away that guy. Now I want to pick a new target. Right, so then you can shuffle your units around to open up a new lane to shoot at the next target during the next fire phase. So do you kind of understand the general idea? It's not like yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, it's just I just struggle with making sure I've got my cavalry in the right spot where they can respond. They can countercharge or whatever they need to do, making sure that they have avenues to do that as well, right?
Yes. So right now we're trying to get stuff set up to start doing an artillery duel where we're going to shoot at his front line with our artillery for a while.
Attrition.
Right, and then we will start prolonging forward and start to then shoot at what's next behind that, and he's going to be using his artillery to shoot at us, or the stuff that he's got out front to shoot at us. And so we want to try to have skirmishers out front because they got a better fire defense, and they are so therefore they're harder to hit. But we all want to have some stuff behind them, so that way we could either charge, or the skirmishers could retreat back into a forest, or they could retreat into a square, or whatever, right? So you kind of have to think of how you're setting things up, so that way your skirmishers, which are good at shooting and have a good fire defense, kind of put them out front where they're going to get the better of the fire engagement, right?
Gotcha.
And then you've got your artillery a little bit further back that's plinking away at stuff. And then you've got your cavalry in the wings to support the artillery and to potentially support the skirmishers or the frontline infantry. And then you've got infantry back behind that. So that way, if one infantry unit fails, well, then you can send another one in, or whatever the case might is, you can kind of replace stuff. Or if there's a breakthrough happens, then stuff can go charging in. So. All right. Let's head back up to the lobby.
Alrighty.
They're dealing with.
Hello. So this is what happens when we don't look at the map for 2 weeks. So thank you guys for your patience.
No problem.
Yeah, and just trying to fill in Keith as well. As you know, he is a newer player to the system. So I appreciate your patience in that regard. All right, I've got 14 cavalry charges. I'm ready to lay them all out. No, I'm kidding. I don't have any cavalry charges.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah.
I'll come by. I'll come back tomorrow morning and see what happened.
Well, David Plock and I have been going through the cavalry charges from hell in Prague, so we know exactly what that's all about.
Oh, I have an idea what happened. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little messy. All right, so So here's the challenge that we have. We've got 3 French players and 2 Allied players. So for us to try to do the movement, how do you guys want to try to handle that? I think Keith is going to be doing some stuff that's going to trigger some opportunity fire down in his part of the world. So Brennan, maybe you and Keith can
Yep.
hang out separately, and then David, you can watch Robert and I kind of move. Robert isn't going to be doing anything terribly exciting on his end of the world. I don't have too much exciting going on because we're not really engaged at the moment. So does that sound good, David? You can kind of keep an
Yeah,
eye on
that
both
works.
of us.
That works fine. And we'll, we can just start with Robert real quick. And as I said, his will probably go real quick, and then we'll go to
yes.
you. And
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds like a
No,
deal.
it'll go back.
All right, so
Okay.
Robert, why don't you start moving your people around? And
Okay.
Keith,
All
should
right.
we drop into game room 1?
Dave, you want to go?
Sure, that
game
sounds
room
good.
2 then?
I'll see
Oh,
you.
we can just stay here in the lobby. That's fine.
Stay in the lobby?
yeah,
Yeah.
we
Okay.
outnumber everybody. It's
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So you're going to start over on the left, I presume. So scrolled over there, and
Yeah, I'll start off around Augzed there.
okay, gotcha.
Okay. Alrighty. So, let me bring up time. 10 minutes, right?
Yep.
10,000 minutes. Okay. 10. Boom. All right. So let's see. We will start with the cavalry there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 10, 11. And then this infantry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have to go through the woods. 1, 2.
So it costs 2 to go through the woods.
Yeah, 6, 7. That's better just to go up here. And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and then over here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12. Really? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. All right. Then for all the infantry that's kind of up there next to the pheasantry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3, 7. 7. Cavalry are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. These guys will take out of. Oops, why won't you flip over? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4. what's left for these guys here?
So you're over at Koblenetz now?
Yeah, I'm over at
Okay.
Coleman. That's it. So. Eight, nine, 10.
Are the streams cost anything, or are they just
Two.
The streams, what, the infantry going over the stream, it's +1.
Yeah,
Alright.
so it's 2. Yeah.
So you should be back 1 from there.
No, they
Oh,
went
all right,
1, 2,
1,
3,
2,
4.
3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then going up is +2, so 6, 7, 8. Oops.
Well, you could skirt along, right, from
Three.
here to here, right? You don't have to go over it, right?
It would cost the same amount of points, but
Oh, okay.
yeah. I don't think.
Well, actually,
Ladies.
slope cost infantry +2. So
Oh, I thought it was
yeah.
1+1.
No, slopes are more expensive. And
Okay.
moving along the edge of the slope. So for this
Doesn't
guy,
cost anything.
right? So he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So going over the stream, if you move him along the edge of the slope, there's no cost. It's only going over either up the slope or down the slope that is an issue.
+2.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, now I can't remember.
So
Did I
this
move
guy
these
was
guys?
this guy was right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this guy was back here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 to go across the stream, 3, 4.
So why are you
5.
going across the stream, Robert? Is what I'm asking.
Yeah. So why don't you just
So-
go this way?
Yeah. So this.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
Yeah,
I
you can
guess-
go right there, and then this guy can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right?
7. Yeah, but then I don't. Okay.
Yeah, they can stack on top of each other. So unlike like 5th edition rules where they couldn't stack unless there's a leader, they can stack on each other. It's not a problem.
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I think that's nobody else hiding anywhere, is there?
Yeah, I think you've got everybody on your side of the universe.
I am done. Yes.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay.
That's it.
All right, so now I got to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do. I've been telling everybody else what to do. I've forgotten to move my own people. All right.
You got
part
2
of the
minutes and
course.
30 seconds.
That's about right. All right, so we'll just keep moving across the line from one end to the next. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'll put them there. These guys we'll take out of skirmish mode and we'll pop them over here. Whoops. Here we go. These guys here we will move out, so that's going to be 1. We'll take them out of skirmish mode. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, all right. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now, what do we need to do with everybody else? We got some artillery hiding around here. I got to find out where it is. Oh, yeah. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so these guys are here. Let's take these guys 1, 2, 3, 4, and we will flip them. And then we've got some more guys over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we will flip them. And we're going to move Marshal So over there, and we will then have these guys here, and I guess we would have these guys here. Oops, like that. And these guys will move forward. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. These guys are here. All right, and where else do we have people? Here. Get some light cavalry over there. Skirmishers here. There we go. We can take a pot shot at you. All right, that's those guys. All right, then moving over to the other chaps. All right, time to shift them. 1, 2, 3. All right. All right, these guys, this is such terrible artillery. I have no idea why it's even here. They must have forgotten most of their guns. Yeah, it's really. I thought at first it was the Austrians that you had. I'm like, those look like those Austrian guys.
Maybe they got the counter back of the counter mixed up.
Yeah, I got to double check it and see. I wouldn't
Yeah,
put it past them.
I would just double everything on the back of the counter then.
There you go. That'll work.
Except the morale, which you have.
Yes, the morale definitely needs to be halved. All right, we'll put those guys. Well, we'll move them next. We'll get the cavalry out here. These guys are going to go over here. These guys are all shifting. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Who are these guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Let's see what's next. We've got none other than Marshal Murat. So let's move him along with his happy little boys. Park some light cavalry down there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Those guys are moving that way. Oh, except I did not want to move the leader. Where is the leader? Yeah, we're going to keep him over here. We're going to move him a different direction. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we'll just park him here for the moment. All right. So the guns have moved. And let's go ahead and just keep things going here with Marshal Murat. And we got to keep shifting over to the right. Okay. Okay, let's see what we got over here. We got more of Bernado's division coming down the pike. Okay, so they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're going to get there. Oh, these are really nice. I like that. All right, so 1, move this guy out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Those guys are there. Who else is left behind? Those guys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and then we just got Napoleon and the Guard. So, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it is going to turn that way, and then Napoleon and all of his friends are going to go stack over on top. Hopefully I will not miss Napoleon in the stack, which is what usually happens.
A lot of friends.
I know.
And he's got the band, so.
Yep. Well, somebody's got the band. The band is somewhere around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There you go.
It would actually be playing what? The Chant du Part, I think. So,
I don't know how that one goes.
yeah, that one, I don't know it off the top of my head either. All right. And,
There's probably been a dissertation written on the marching band, so.
yeah, I'm sure. All right. Well, that should... Oops, I keep putting out of command. Or assault markers, actually. Even better. Okay. All right. So, let's see where things are. Oh, I still have some light cavalry I haven't moved yet. So, let's go ahead and bring those guys forward a little bit. And we have sort of a shortage of light cavalry. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Park some right there. All
Got
right.
the Mamluks there.
Yep. I should stack Rap with them.
Yes.
Although Jim was commenting that Rap does not have a cavalry bonus, and he's like, Rap should have a cavalry bonus. So we'll have to get out our marking pen. And
Yeah, give the same cavalry bonus as Murat.
Yes, a nice plus 12 on everything. So, okay, cool. All right. I guess it's time for us to shoot. Have you guys already done your firing on your end of the universe?
We did opportunity fire, but not
Not defensive fire?
defensive, also offensive. So
Okay.
Keith, we can run through that. Should we go down to the room to get out of the dialogue?
No, you're fine because I've only got like one shot myself.
I have none. So.
And Robert has none, so we might as well just watch the shooting match over on this side of the map.
Keith, I'll start with Austrian defensive fire here. These two battalions will shoot at the skirmisher in front of them. They have 16 against your probably 12.
Yep, so it's a 1-to-1.
Probably that's a hit there.
63 is a palpable hit.
Ow.
Yeah, it just happens, it's just statistics. And then
Get
this
out the
battalion
Band-Aids.
here- Exactly.
Yeah.
Starts out as Band-Aids and later it's tourniquets.
Yeah, there you go.
So
This
he's
battalion here is gonna shoot at
12
the
to 14.
skirmisher. So that's a 1 to 1.5. That's enough.
And then after that, it's a saw.
That's right. And I think that's about it.
That's-
Okay, so Keith, why don't you go ahead and do your shots then?
Some heavy artillery unrolled there.
Yeah. Now, what I did realize is I failed to move Lon over onto the artillery.
Oh,
So next turn.
that's okay.
He's a
Live
good
and learn.
cavalry commander. I thought you were planning to use him for his excellent cavalry bonus.
Yeah, right.
Really decent, actually. He's a really good leader.
Yeah, he is a good leader all day.
All around.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've got the I've got my artillery, my little grand battery there.
Yes, indeed.
It's a baby
And
grand.
we'll shoot at that 6-6 3 hexes away, and
So you got 36 to 9. That's going to be 4 to 1.
with that I would like to shift, but okay. Let's roll a couple die and see
Yeah.
what we get, huh? 25.
At 4 to 1. That's still a hit. That's enough to make the Austrians try to do a morale check.
Fair
They
enough.
pass.
Okay. All right, you've
They
got
are.
some skirmishers that can shoot.
Yeah, so let's the ones on the right of the screen as we're looking at it down. How do I make the red circle pop up?
Alt.
Alt and click.
Alt and yeah.
Oh, it's just hold Alt and click.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I got this skirmisher here. Both are gonna hit here.
So he's got 5 increments times 3 is 15. So 15 to 9 is 1.5 to 1.
You want this skirmisher here to join in that fire as well?
Oh, he can, right?
He could.
Because
He's at
Yeah.
He can either hit this group or he could hit this group. Either way.
yeah. So
He would add-
he could add in another 9. So he's got 18 fire value, but he would be
He's
halved
halved.
at a range of 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, this hex actually can't see that hex. You could fire both of those hexes at
Yeah,
this
you could
one,
fire
or
this
could
one.
fire
You'd have a 1-to-1 shot on that guy.
on that one there.
It's probably
okay, let's
better.
do that. Let's do that first, then we'll do that 1 to
This
1
one
on the
here?
5-6.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
And
That's
that's a
nothing.
miss. Yep. And then you got a
Now-
1.5 to 1.
Back to our regular programming. 33 is
And that is not
Is
enough.
that?
You needed to get
No.
into the 40s.
yeah,
Okay.
right. Okay, and then I've got this.
Right. So
Okay,
he's
six,
got
6.
18, and he's coming in on the file of this guy you're basically firing in on his flank. So he's got a defensive 6. So you got 18 to 6.
Is it 6 or 5?
What, firing in on the flank? I don't know. I mean, usually
I
it's
think it's
whatever
a-
it is for the fire
Yeah,
defense of
It might
of
be
column.
5. Might be 5.
Oh yeah, formations fired
Formation
upon
flank.
in the flank.
True flank is defensive 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't
That's
know
a
that.
that's a nice attack. That's a good attack to do.
So that's going to give you 18 to 5. So that's going to be 3 to 1.
Still 3-1.
Yeah, still
Okay.
3 to 1.
Well, let's roll it.
62
that's
at
a good
3 to 1. That's actually 2 hits.
Good
Nice.
shot.
Boom, boom.
Nice.
And a morale check for those guys. They get a +3 for being in line. So that's going to be more than enough for them to pass.
Who are these guys?
They are a bunch of Austrian line infantry, the guys that did not surrender at Ulm, basically. It's what's left of the Austrian army that didn't surrender under General Mack, or was it Field Marshal Mack? I can't remember.
Private Mac.
Yes.
Afterwards,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I think he got court-martialed and imprisoned.
He did.
Demoted and imprisoned. I think,
Yeah, it was pretty rough. All right, I got one pot shot over on the far end of my part of the universe. So I've got these guys here. We're at a range of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Range of 9. So just the one unit can fire. So it's going to be 9 to 6. So
Eric,
it's going to
could
be
you red circle that?
yeah. So
which
these
units-
guys here are firing there.
1.5 to 1 plus 9.
And then, so I think adds in another something as well. I think he adds in another 2. So plus 11. So 1.5 to 1 with a plus 11.
Those are 12-pounder guns. That's the big stuff.
Yep. Well, 15 ain't going to do it.
No.
Not with any kind of guns. Yeah.
Well, let's see, because that 15 is going to be a 30. Yeah, no, it's not enough. It's going to be a 34, right? Yeah. So, nope, that's a miss. Big whiff. That's okay. I'm used to that. I couldn't hit anything at Prague last night either, so. All right, well, good. So that is our excitement. So now we turn things over to our friends over in the Allied part of the universe.
All right. Just, we'll have a momentary conference there. Just
Sure. A little confab.
Yeah. We'll go down.
Well, things are warming up a little bit.
Of course, I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I was trying to find. Oh, okay. Fire attack morale checks. I was trying to remind myself. So, French, even. Italians, even.
Yeah.
Russians are all odd.
Yeah, the Russians, no. So the Musketeers are
Second
every
stuff.
loss starting with the second, right? Their Jaegers are even, their Grenadiers are even, and then their Guard Infantry is every loss beginning with a third suffered. And then the Austrians are every odd numbered loss. Their Jaegers are every even. And then the line stuff is every loss. So the 6th battalions, which are kind of like the reservists, that kind of got called up, they check every time they take a hit. So
Wow. So for their morale is really, once you get a couple hits on them, they're over with.
mm-hmm.
Every single hit they'll be.
Yeah. So they are not the best or brightest. So
They are kind of fragile. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So just pop them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do. All right. They'll either be doing a big cavalry charge or not.
Yeah, I could see, Keith, you have a good chance against the Austrian infantry, and then you have to settle in when they show up with the artillery and the guard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's daunting force coming up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should not have your light cavalry in the woods. So you should have brought the light cavalry to the same side of the woods that you're already in to support your everybody on that side. So like that guy that's there in the woods on the rightmost, that 515, you could put
Yeah.
him. You could have put him one square over. The other guy could have come over one square. Because if you're in the woods, you can't charge. So he couldn't opportunity charge. He couldn't reaction charge.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
that's,
Yeah, and
it's generally not good to put your guys in the woods.
I failed to face them properly anyway. So
Yeah.
I meant to, thinking I could come out of the woods, but
No. So
All right.
it's okay. You
Good
live and learn.
information.
Yeah. I mean, if he tries to assault you, of course, you'll be thirded, but he'll be thirded as well. He can't charge you in the woods, but like
Right.
he could move infantry up and shoot at you, and you couldn't respond to it, for example. So that's kind of where the
Gotcha.
potential hazard is for you. So.
All right.
Oh, and then these guys here that were exhausted need to be just brought down to.
Does that come off now at the end?
So it
that's
would come
right.
down
It's in
off at the
French turn.
end of the
Yeah.
French turn.
Yeah. Right.
So that
Gotcha.
was the only thing that we forgot to do was correct that. And they're not necessarily facing a very practical direction either.
Hey, folks.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't
So-
think that was an issue when they're exhausted.
So yeah, but tired cavalry can reaction charge and it can opportunity charge. So
Okay, so then I
yes.
should have been paying attention to facing them. Okay.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, you're just learning. So, all right, you guys back?
We're back.
All right, hooray! Do you guys have any cavalry charges?
No, I don't.
No.
Okay, all right. So, why don't we do so? Robert, do you want to watch David, and then Keith and I can watch Brennan, and Brennan, you can then kind of move. I mean, because we normally have 10 minutes for David to move his stuff and 10 minutes for you to move you. I mean, 8 minutes. Sorry, 8 minutes for you to move your stuff. 8 minutes for him to move his stuff. So, how do you want to try to handle that? Because it's all intermixed. So I have no idea what's what.
Well, I think we should do about 12 minutes.
Because
each.
I've got an extra column and stuff that didn't have before, and he's taken over Dave's other
Oh,
stuff
okay.
over there.
All right. So 12 minutes sounds good. That's about, 1.5 things for you guys. Okay. So cool.
Yeah.
All right. So Robert, why don't you and David drop down into one of the chat rooms and
Game room 1.
Yep. And Keith and
All
I
right.
will hang out up here.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Where do you want to start, Brennan?
I'm going to start back in the backfield with some of the loose units that are running around.
Okay.
And then they will, after we get done with them, then I'll move up. And I will generally be moving from the north towards the south. In
Okay.
sequence, more or less.
Yeah. No worries.
All right. So here we go. Starting with the guards artillery back there.
Okay. Those little guys.
Yeah, and then there's a bunch of leaders who want to turn the other direction. They're going to run over to join David.
That is the cream of the Allied commanders there.
Yeah, those guys are really good stuff, man. They have a lot to offer the world.
Let's see. Maybe they actually have a positive influence.
Of one.
Yeah, yeah.
Of one.
Well, we were playing Wagram and there were like negative ones. I'm just like, oh, where do I stack you? You're a liability.
Kaiser, the important Kaiser.
Oh
The
yeah.
Austrians are starting to get engaged. This guy's going to have some rallying material before too long.
Yeah, yeah.
The leaders pay for slopes.
So this is the problem with the premier rules, right? If you're an infantry leader, you move with infantry movement. If you're a cavalry leader, you move with cavalry movement.
I'm sure the emperor is cavalry.
Yeah. Well, and so this is always the problem. Like, this is why Clash of Arms has like a separate column for leaders, because the leaders should be able to move really fast. Yeah. So.
Here for 6, 7. Now I'm moving skirmishers in the woods here.
Oh, okay. Exciting stuff.
I did something wrong there.
Did you hit the undo button or did he move over that
Yeah,
way?
yeah. I hit a right click, which was like bizarre.
Oh, okay. Where are you at now, Brendan? I'm not sure where you're.
This
Oh,
skirmisher
okay.
moved to, yeah. These are skirmishers moving in the woods.
Yep, I see that.
That already moved. All right, now we're getting over here in this area.
Okay. So can you highlight what you're moving? Okay, you're over there. Okay. Where are you at now, Brennan? Oh, okay.
I'm just thinking and hang on.
Okay. Okay. You're at the 10-minute mark, Brennan.
Yep.
Where are you at now? Oh, okay, those guys are coming up. Okay, cool. See ya.
That just about does it. Let me do one quick sweep here for
Okay.
loose ends.
Brendan, did you move this cavalry that was here, this exhausted cavalry?
Yes, it
Okay.
moved like three movements.
Okay,
It's trying to recover.
right.
Remind me, a half move is
A half move. So if you move, as long as you don't move more than half, you can go from being exhausted to tired or tired to fresh.
right. I'll tell you what. Let's put them back. They moved. They're done. They moved less than half, so they're fine. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
If they can still move their full movement value even if they're exhausted, they just wouldn't recover anything
Right.
at the end of that phase. So that's different from 3rd edition and 5th edition, where their movement and their combat value are nerfed. when they're
Yeah,
in
I
that
get mixed up
Yeah.
among the versions sometimes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we are at time.
Yep.
Yep. Pencils down, everybody. All right. So, Keith, there is some fire combat over here for you. Defensive fire.
Yes, there is. Well, should we? We can start over here. So I'm hitting that 7.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you are in. Are you in general order train there? No, actually, it's clear
I'm
train, I
still-
guess.
Is that clear there?
Well, I don't know. There are
I
some
wasn't
trees
sure.
there. I think we were saying if there's trees there, I don't know. I can't remember what we
think
said.
you were calling that woods when you moved into it, but
Yeah.
but you put
Yeah. So
Up to
it's
you,
it's
whatever.
wood. So it's just your printed value, which is probably like 6 or 7. Yeah. So 7 to 9. He's in line. So you're going to have a 1. 1 to 1.5.
He's got 2 increments gone.
Yeah.
So it's still 1 to 1.5.
Yeah.
All right, rolling. 36.
36. That's a miss.
All right, and got my skirmishers here. So let's well, I could put all of them on.
Sure.
Hey guys, time was up about 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, we're
No,
we're
I
done.
gave him a little extra time
Oh,
because I
okay.
was
No
jammering
worries.
with him. So
All right. I just wanted you
Right.
guys to know. Cool.
Yeah.
yeah, no, I was distracting him. So he gets a couple extra minutes.
He's used to that from your Linny game there, right? So
I know. He has. Do you know they have a Lancer unit that's 60 with a +8 Lance bonus.
60 with a +8 lance bonus. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's the Polish Lancers.
That's
that big 19 factor.
Yep,
13.
1913.
Yeah.
It's like That's like this floating Death Star around us. It's like, oh my
It is
gosh.
pretty nasty. I mean, at what battle was it? Oh yeah, at Hassenhausen. The Prussians have got like a 32 increment hussar unit,
Oh my god.
which has like a 90 something melee value and a morale of like 15. And so we called it the Death Star Hussar. It would just move around. It was like the Death Star. It would touch your unit, boom. It's like a planet
It's
blowing up.
gone.
Yeah, vaporized. Yeah, it was, and of course the French have only got like 3 light cavalry units in that entire battle, and no heavies, nothing. It's just
Oh my gosh.
hell on earth for them. So yeah, tough
Talk
stuff.
about insecurity.
So did we? It doesn't look like we got any fire. It looks like you pulled back all along
Yep.
the line. Is right that okay?
Yes, I did.
Dave's got marching down really well.
He did. I mean, it's the only thing is it looks like you got one unit that's kind of straddling a hex here. These guys
Oh.
here south of Blasowitz.
Yeah, he's probably right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, all right, they're falling right into our trap, Robert.
Yes, that's where the volcano is going to go off, right?
Yes, exactly,
Yes.
the volcano. All right, well, we can pop over. Keith is starting to do some shooting, so
Oh, okay.
we'll see what
Okay,
success he
yeah.
might have.
We'll head up to the lobby.
Yep. All right, we came to watch the fun.
Remind us, the Austrian 6th battalions, they take a morale check on every hit,
Every single hit, yeah.
every fire hit.
They're not your best and brightest.
Nope, they're just like trying to get engaged early, see what they can do. So he'll roll a morale check. which
Oh,
he
they're
passes.
happy.
He's good.
Yep, and then you have 2 increments left in that unit that can shoot at either one of these targets.
All
Or
right,
you
well,
can
let's-
combine, right? So you can have all 5 increments fire on one, or you can have 2.5 fire here and 2.5 fire there.
Well, I used some of those.
Oh, you
use
use
that.
some of these on this one?
Yeah, I used 3 hexes on him. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then
I'm
you've
gonna-
only
I'll just-
got
I'll-
you've only got
Yeah.
2.5 hexes. I mean, so when you're firing so say this has 5 increments, you've got 2.5 increments there and 2.5 increments there.
Right.
Is the way to think about it, as opposed to I've got 3 here and 2 there, right?
We did 3 and 2 just for simplicity. but
Oh,
that's-
okay. Yeah. So then you've got basically 6 to 9 either there or there.
All right, so we'll go here. So that's 1 to 1.5, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That ain't nothing.
Nope.
All right.
Here's your
Yeah,
next one.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's probably going to be the same thing. It's either a 6 or 7 to 9. So it's going to be another 1 to 1.5.
1 to 1.5, however you
Yep.
slice it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's a miss.
Okay. And then my skirmishers.
You still have the 3 to 1 on him.
He's actually developed a refused flank by bringing up his zone of control. So his fire defense is 9.
Oh, okay. I mean, normally, yeah, okay, that's fine. I can't remember the rules off the top of my head, but you're right. If this hex is there, okay. So now you've got 18 to 9, so it's a 2 to 1 shot.
All right.
Well,
Okay.
you're just pulling out all the rolls there, aren't you?
Yeah. Brennan took all the good ones earlier.
Did he? Okay. Well, that's par for the course.
All right. Well, then my last defensive fire is with these skirmishers. So I can go here with the half and there. So let's do.
Yep. So you're going to have 9 to, I think they had a fire defense of 11, the false units.
Yeah,
So it's
that's
a
right,
9
yep.
to 11.
Yep.
So 1 to 1.5.
All right. So we'll go after this guy. Come on, baby. Nope.
Nope. And then same on the other chap.
The other one.
Nope.
Nope.
All
Blank,
right.
blank, blank.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I don't think we've got anybody touching anywhere else that can fire. So it's time for Brennan and David to do any shooting if they've got any.
We've got offensive fire on the far north. There's
Okay.
a 2 increment skirmisher with 6 and a column here that has 3. Why is that column?
So you've got 9 to 10. So
That's a mess. Okay. Here we have, this is 12 against 10. That's 1-to-1 there.
Yep.
That's a mess. Here we've got 8 and 12 is 20 plus 8. 28 versus
to 12.
2-to-1.
So it's 2 to 1.
2-to-1. 2-to-1.
That
That's
is a hit. A palpable hit.
I keep looking up at the top there, and I keep seeing 11s, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean that's why, Brennan, you can change your name so you're not 11.
I'll do that next week.
Well, we can just always count that as your roll, Brendan.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's just that's always his role. Oh,
It's
11,
actually
you
the
missed.
random number seed that generates better rolls.
Oh, next time we play, we're all number 11. No one will know what the
That's
hell is
right.
going on.
That's good. No, that's my number. No, that's my number.
It's fine.
Oh,
So these two groups have 16 against the skirmisher in front of them.
that's a
That's a
1-to-1.
mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then I think the artillery over here might be able to reach that. Let's find out. 2, 4, 6, 7. So these two artillery groups can combine against that. They have
So you got 12 and 1
Yeah,
hex
18.
and
this 3-to-1 against
Yeah.
this unit.
yeah, 3-to-1 with a +1 for your brilliant leader.
It's gonna be something.
A 46 at 3-to-1. That's a single hit.
That's a hit.
Yeah.
All right, so that's his second hit.
Yep.
So
Time
he'll
to make a
roll.
morale check.
Morale check.
Rolling for that.
Yep.
Ooh,
Another
46.
46. We're gonna have to tell Stigler about these die rolls here. He's got to fix.
We get another one.
He's got to fix the
Something's
Vassal
going on.
module. Yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't
Yeah.
hear. Yeah, we wouldn't have heard enough yet.
Now, this unit will shoot at that one. That's a 1-to-1 attack. That's a miss. This battalion has 12 against 14. That's 1-to-1.5. That's a miss. This
It's just a
skirmisher
1-to-1
will
shot.
shoot-
Yeah.
Yeah, this shoots it here. It's 1-to-1 no matter what.
Hey,
miss.
that's a hit. Gotta love those false units.
Yeah, they're really cool. They seem to
Yeah.
be doing okay in the woods. And then this unit here will fire at this hex of that skirmisher. That's a miss.
Same thing
This
on the
one
other
here.
side. Yeah.
We'll shoot there. That's a miss.
Oh,
That's
they're
just taking
always.
advantage of those 1-to-1 odds bits.
That's nice.
And then this unit will shoot. Is that cavalry there?
Yep.
Cavalry. Okay, so
No.
that's a miss. All right. Let me look and see if there's any artillery that maybe could take a cheap shot in place. I think not. You guys
You've only got some stuff that's unlimbered, right? And I think
yeah,
you got guys
sort of
blocking it, right? Yeah.
danced out of the way of it. So
That's the whole point. We're dancing, you're
That's-
dancing.
that's right. It's a
It's
dance.
a little dance of death here.
Yep. I think that mostly covers it.
All right. Are there any assaults?
I think we're going to do a little bit against some of those skirmishers out front. Let's think about that.
Well, you
The
just have to make
battalions
your
are kind of,
yeah. You got to make your morale check. That's the challenge.
Oh,
so
that's
if they attack a skirmisher, does the skirmisher retreat before combat?
Skirmisher
it's
has the option to retreat before combat.
Right.
So if the skirmisher tries to stand, then they'd make a morale check and try to stand, and then whoever's attacking has to make a morale check and see if they go in, and then you're going to do combat. the skirmisher is going to be at a disadvantage for the combat, but you guys are, as I said, they're not the best in the universe.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm happy, I think, with them mostly just ending and doing fire combat. They're 6 battalions. They've got some people to shoot at. They're shooting at 1-to-1, more or less. That's a reasonable odds level. I think they're just kind of happy where they are. So they won't bother attacking. Like a lot of times, if this were French infantry against Austrian skirmishers, you'd throw that melee and push it back, kind of thing. But at this point, I think they're kind of happy.
Yeah. All right, so if there's no assaults, then the only thing you've got to do, I think you've only got one unit that's routed. That's the Cossacks that were back here stacked with the Tsar.
They'll try to rally. That might be a rally.
45
Tsar's
becomes a
pretty good.
35. The Tsar adds 9. Oh, yeah. So they're happy.
Get rally. Yeah.
So they're just going to be marked as exhausted. And then...
They assassinated the Tsar.
Are you kidding me? They're getting paid. They're getting paid actual money, and they get to loot the villages they go through. This doesn't get any better for them. Come on.
That's true. The Tsar's got a -2? Oh my gosh. Okay. Throw him into combat.
Right. No, his job is to rally the troops. Okay, and then over here we're gonna flip that.
We should design some game where you have like winners in Napoleonic history, and you have the Prince of Orange with Alexander, and they all get command in one place.
Did that cavalry? Now, these 2 cavalry didn't move, right?
They did.
They moved out.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they should have probably stood. I don't know why they moved, but anyway, they did.
All right.
Talk to their commander. Obviously,
Yeah,
guy making
He's having
mistakes.
trouble
I
with
tell
him.
you.
Nothing but mistakes from that guy all game.
Oh, indeed. All right. Well, I think that brings us to a conclusion here. So we managed to get through in about 2 hours a turn. And as I said, next week, David will also be absent. So it'll probably be a similar setup where the 2 of you guys are kind of shuffling his stuff as well. So that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and hit the save button and save the game. And I suggest you guys do it as well, so that way we've got a backup copy.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, let's move the turn marker forward. I always forget to do that. So it's now the 11:20 turn that we're going to work on next.
And did you remove all the moved? Here, I'll move.
Oh, yeah.
click
Hit
that.
yep. So we're clear. Good. All right. Any other bookkeeping we need to do before I save the game, David?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. If I ask Robert, he'll say start removing allied units. But we're used to that. We're used to that, Robert.
We could start with that 1913 unit.
Yes, that one is pure evil.
Yes, that is.
And I was thinking, David, you were showing me that one Austrian unit that has the wrong. It's got like a French.
It's got the French
strength on the
artillery.
back. So what
strength,
you
yeah.
could do is you could remove it, and like the other guy that's moving with him, just copy, like duplicate him.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and we're not paying attention to the unit numbers as long as the stuff is the same. And I'm going to pull my Austerlitz, and because I've got a French artillery unit that's got like the suckiest value I've ever seen in a foot artillery. So I'm like, okay, did they show up with nobody? Did they miss half their guns? Do they have a bunch of 3-pounder guns from, the 7 Years' War? What's going on? So I'm going to take a look and see if they've got the wrong. Yeah, I'm just like, why do they have such a bad one? So I'm not sure if it's a mistake in the Vassal module or if it's actually a case where, they showed up and they had lower caliber stuff or nothing at all.
Yeah, their close range is 6, medium is 4, and long is 1.
Yeah, well, for your
There's an
guys,
issue
yeah.
with that. Well, I mean, if there's 2 units wrong, maybe there are more. So maybe we should check every single unit on the board.
Well,
Are you saying one of
you've
your
got to
French ones is wrong? You think
you
one of your French ones is wrong too?
The
yeah,
artillery.
no, one of my French ones. I'm
Oh,
not sure. So one of these ones here that's part of Bernado's corps up here by Jerkowitz, I flipped it over, and so most of my French stuff is like 18, 9, 4
right.
or 6. Well, it is 864, and I'm like, what? What is this? Um, so I'm not sure if there's an error or what. I mean, it's got the correct um, name on it, right? It's the first of the eighth Apied. So that's correct, but I'm just like, that's a weird value. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna check it with the one that I've got in my set, and see if there's an error. But I think when Steve made this module, he copied the stuff right off the back of all the units. So I mean, obviously we found one error, so I'm not sure if there's other errors. But I think he got the files directly from Monty, and so and trust me, there's been times that there's been errors with the like playtest set of counters and then the real set of counters. So I'll just double check and see if that's the case. Otherwise, I'm just going to roll them in point blank range, take you on. So
There you go.
all right,
Hey, we can match up mine against yours
yeah, we could just have an artillery duel. They just sit there shooting at each other and
at
missing.
close range.
Yeah. See who does. I mean, they might have just get out and start whacking each other with their loading sticks and whatever else kind of thing. Them. So
There you go.
all right. Well, Brennan, it looks like you're getting into your hedgehog position here. So we are going to have to see how we can attack the hedgehog.
Yeah, it's curled up in a ball with spines in all directions.
Yeah, I know, and it's really cool to see. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch the presentation Brendan and I did last Saturday, but a big part of it was some of these different, I don't know what positions or stuff that you had planned out in advance. And Robert's comment to me was, "Where are our maps with arrows, Eric?" And I feel really inadequate. I have no maps, no arrows. I feel like a really terrible leader. I would just like, hey, we're just gonna wing it. So I'll have to get out
sort of
my
talk
my
about a
arrows.
little bit tactically. We looked at the map. First, we looked at the Allied army. And the
Hmm.
Allied army it has very strong cavalry, it has indifferent infantry, and it has pretty good artillery.
Right,
And that tells you that as a starting point, it's going to fight pretty well in relatively open terrain.
right,
It also tells you that you want to think of a way to fight as a method for the Allied army that relies on a lot of use of its artillery before you send in the indifferent infantry.
right.
So we looked around the whole map, and Austerlitz is cool as a battle because it's a very big map, but the armies are kind of medium sized. So that means they don't take up all that much space. And there's a lot of fun. You can like look around for, so we know that we're going to fight better in an open ground type of position. And then another thing we knew was that we wanted the whole army to fight in a well supported, mutual supporting way. So that means not spreading out all over, but rather bringing the columns within support distance of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And support distance of each other is roughly one artillery shot. So it's like about 8 or 9 hexes, maximum separation between the columns, and
Right.
ideally left. So we've got each column, they're not shoulder to shoulder, flank to flank, but they're like more or less. And then in the gap between the columns is where you end up finding good positions for the artillery to get crossfires or combined fires.
Right.
So that's the way you want to fight. And then you look for where you want to fight. And there's two main places that could be where. One is Pratzen Plateau, which is the historical part, and then
Right.
the other one is kind of over to the right where we chose.
Right.
You have kind of two main choices. So that was how the thinking went.
Yeah, but where you're at now, I mean, Holbowitz is kind of in a hollow. You've got a little bit of a rise as you kind of go a little further to the south. So you don't quite have the same, field of fire kind of thing that you'd have on Pratzen, but it's not bad. But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad place to go, all things considered.
Exactly. So we considered this, that, and the other thing, and we're like, over there is a good place, and it starts out sort of defensively, and then depending how it goes, it could conceivably be used from offense.
Right, and so
So
that is the one thing, having stuff there. So if the French start to like envelop around the edges, well, then we're thinning out somewhere to get around the edges. So you could either then blunt us on the edges, or you could attack us somewhere along the arc of our line,
Yep.
kind of a thing.
What's the time on this again? We're at 11, and when does the game
We're
end?
at 11, so we're the 11:20 turn, and I off the top of my head, I can't remember when the scenario ends. I don't know if it ends at 4 o'clock or it ends at 5 o'clock. I know this is December, so it's not
Gets
like it's
dark
going
early.
into, yeah, it's not going into the evening like it would be with some of the others. So it's got to be over by like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, something like that. So here I can look it up real quick for everybody.
Scenario 10, start 8, finish at the end of the 1600 turn, the 4
Yeah,
o'clock.
so 4 o'clock turn.
So
Yeah,
4
so
o'clock,
kind of what I
okay.
thought. Yeah. So so we've got, and it could be the sort of thing, depending on how this goes, we just kind of fight to a draw, if we can't get some sort of conclusion with something. So we just kind of see how it plays out over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like a lot of our games, we get busy, people have to drop out, or we get tired of playing it. And then we pick a new game to play.
What are the victory point levels for the victories?
I don't know. I mean, David, do you have the stuff up there?
Let's see. Scroll down here.
I mean, I think the French have got to get somewhere in the really big positive numbers or something like that. I can't remember if we're adding or.
Victory conditions. Let's see what there's the things.
See, number.
All right. French decisive is 17. French substantial is 14, 15, or 16. French marginal 11, 12, 13. Draw is 10 or 9. Coalition marginal 8, 7. Coalition substantial 6, 5. Decisive 4. So, all right. So right now we're at minus.
Right, you guys have
minus
2,
2.
right? Yep. So
We must have
us,
at least 100 points by now.
Yeah, we do, Robert. They're waiting to march on the board. Right. So then, so we've got to capture some different stuff, and I think the biggest thing is just, I think where it's all going to get decided is how many people are getting killed, like getting stuff on a level, right?
Right.
Yeah. So getting stuff on the level is going to be where what's really going to say the points for the villages isn't going to add up to a whole hill of beans.
No, but time is a big factor in this one because we're almost at noontime. It's about 4 hours.
Yeah. So we've got to do something to try to eke out some victory here without having our own guys suffer so much in the process, right? So that's part of the challenge, is do damage to the Allied army without suffering undue damage ourselves.
Yeah, that's
no easy task.
I would say so.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, gentlemen,
That's
very good.